You, my lovely learners, are you ready for today's class? If you're ready for today's class, let me hear you say we are ready for today's class. We are ready for today's class. So who can tell me what an adverb is? An adverb modifies a verb, an adjective, and another adverb. Correct. Now that brings us to today's topic. Our topic is adverbial clause of time. Everybody repeat after me. Adverbial clause of time. So by the end of the lesson, you should be able to explain the meaning of adverbial clause of time. Explain the meaning of adverbial clause of time. Give examples of adverbial clause of time. Give examples of adverbial clause of time. Identify time adverbs. Identify time adverbs. So if you look at this chart now, adverb clause. An adverb clause is a subordinate clause that modifies a verb, adjective, and other adverb. And a subordinate clause are clauses that cannot stand on their own. So, and for all adverb clause, they make use of subordinating conjunction. And you can tell me what your conjunction is used for? Your conjunction is used to join sentences, clause, or phrase together. What other name do you call your conjunction? Link word. So you can see some of the examples there. There's more. Look at example of adverbial clauses of time. When he comes, he will tell us the story. Monica was reading while Tom was writing. The lecture started as we arrived. I will stay with the baby until you come home. After she had got the money, she bought the car. So now let's move proper. When we say adverbial clause of time, adverbial clause of time shows you when something happened, tells you the particular time. You know what your time tells you when exactly something happened. So it is usually introduced by your time adverb. An example of time adverb is before, after, as, when, why, until, as soon as, since, no sooner than, as long as. So who can tell me what an adverbial clause of time is? Adverbial clause of time shows when something happens. So who can give me an example of adverbial time adverb? Before, yes. When, yes. As soon as, correct. Let's move. So note that all adverb clauses are subordinate clauses. They cannot stand on their own. So they need to be attached to an independent clause. So for it to function very well. So your subordinating clause is also known as dependent clause and must be attached to an independent clause. That is an independent clause, a clause that can stand on its own. So who can tell me what a subordinate clause is? A subordinate clause are clauses that cannot stand on their own. And for it, who can tell me for a subordinate clause to function very well, what does it have to do? It has to be attached to an independent clause. Correct. So who can tell me what an independent clause is? An independent clause are clauses that can stand on their own. Yes, let's proceed. So whenever you have an adverbial clause of time that comes before or after the main clause. So when it comes before the main clause, it is usually separated with a comma. But when it comes after the main clause, you don't need to use a comma. So now look at some example. I always take a bath before I go to bed. I will. Will you wait here until I am ready? I was not at home when he came to see me. So now, the first three examples that I've read, who can tell me the time adverb there? I answer the first example there. The time adverb is before. Who else correct? Second one, until. Yes, you correct. Thumbs up. And the third one is when. Give it to yourself. You are all wonderful. So with this, we've come to the end of our lesson. So who can tell me what adverbial clause of time is? Adverbial clause of time tells you when something happens. Then who can give me an example of time adverb? Before, when, correct. So your adverbial clause is also what? They are called what? Subordinating clause. So with this, we've come to the end of today's lesson. I love you. Bye bye. See you next time.